The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, my name is Jillian Schaefer and I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Manufacturing 100, 3 Ways to Improve Your Shop Floor Data Collection, presented by Seth Fike from Scanco. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise down. However, you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar. To submit a question, look for the questions section in your GoToWebinar. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees as well as to those who registered but were not able to attend. Please take a moment after the presentation to answer our one survey question. And as a reminder, our 2021 SWK Virtual Empower Conference is coming up on May 4th through 6th. Be sure to register to learn how to get the most out of your Sage ERP. The registration link will be sent in the webinar follow-up email and I'll include it in the webinar chat. With that said, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend our webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you software and industry knowledge, tools, and support whenever you need it. So whether you're here doing research for a new solution or you're just here to learn, we'd like to encourage you to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels, so we encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Seth.
Awesome. Thank you, Jolene. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for taking some time out of your day to go through this with me today. My name is Seth Fike. I am one of the software specialists here at Scanco. So if you want to get more information or if you want to dive into any of this in more detail, I'm going to be the guy that you're going to come to for the demo portion and the entire process. So today, again, we're going to have about an hour to go through it. I probably will only need about 30 minutes of your time today, and I'll leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions in case there are any questions from the live demo that we're going to do. A little spoiler alert there. What we're going to be covering today is Manufacturing 100, and specifically 3 ways to improve your current shop floor data collection process and 3 ways that we see leading industries do this particular transaction. A little bit about us before we get started. Who is Scanco? Well, Scanco has been a leading provider of supply chain automation for a long time. And what does this mean? Since we started, we've really been able to grow from our warehouse automation solution to engage and capture the manufacturing side of the business, as well as acquire companies like Multibin to really make us a one-stop shop for any of your supply chain needs. A few things that I just want to point out about Scanco. First off, we've been doing this for over 30 years in Sage 100. This isn't the first time we've done this. We've seen a lot of different processes and we've been able to learn throughout that time. We're also an OEM developer for Sage, but what does this mean to you? This means we've actually developed modules inside of Sage and for Sage. So one example here, what we're going to go over today is production management. We are the developer for production management as well as operations management. So we really have a great partnership with Sage in every product that we're going to be talking about. Also, we have this real-time integration. So what does real-time mean? Real-time means everything that is happening on the floor, so on a mobile solution, is actually being integrated with Sage. There's no information going back and forth. It's happening all simultaneously. And then kind of highlighting to our experience again, we have 3,000 plus and growing installs at this point. So we've seen a lot of different processes and we've installed this into a lot of different companies to help their manufacturing, their warehouse, any of those processes. Some of our core listings is going to be the manufacturing side, obviously. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Whether your bill of materials, production management, or your full-blown operations management or job ops, we're going to have some kind of mobile solution today that we're going to be able to talk about. Now, today, we're going to really focus on production management and job ops, so the automation for those particular pieces. But if you're doing production entry, we can always have a sidebar conversation and go over it. Additionally, I said that we have other products. So warehouse automation, if you're familiar with us, we have different levels to that. So if we just want to collect information, have validation and accuracy, we can start with more of a standard model, or we can do a full-blown enterprise where we're really guiding you and telling you what items to pick or pull from based on logic involved with the system. So we can take it, we can scale it from different ways. Now the multi-bin side, we also have this product. So if you're wanting to create and maintain multiple bins in your warehouse or have multiple locations inside of your warehouse, we're able to utilize multi-bin to do this. We will be talking a little bit on the manufacturing side today about multi-bin when I do the live demo. But also we can really allocate and give you that true FIFO or FIFO picking, as well as on the back end for the system to say, hey, this particular lot, you need to grab it because it's going bad or its receipt date was before. A lot of different options there. And then lastly, on the Scanco sales piece, we can automate the creation of sales orders as well as capture some signatures during delivery and create invoices. So we have a lot of different products here, but today we're really going to focus on the manufacturing side of the business. So this first slide is really going to say, hey, what industry problems are we having? Well, the first one that we find is we're having a problem with visibility. Where are your jobs currently? Questions like, what work centers are my jobs in, or even how many have been completed, whether it's for the day, for the hour, the week. How do we know this information? Well, some statistics to back these questions, and these are questions that I get all the time. And it's kind of blow up the fact that you're not the only one asking these questions, but about 38 hours a week is spent just tracking orders on the floor, just trying to find out where these orders are. About 23% of production supervisors actually know where their jobs are. So this means 77% of them don't know where their jobs are at any given time because we don't have any kind of integration. And this one was a little striking to me, but 50% of companies don't know their true lead time. Production management and operations management do a good job of giving you those lead times, but if you don't have any way to integrate your floor processes, how are you going to know what's truly done, what their status is, what those true lead times are? So what other questions are we hearing? Well, data entry is taking too long. How long are you spending typing in entries inside of Sage, whether it's a work ticket, whether it's issuing materials, whatever that particular process is? How long is it taking you? Well, before we can do the data entry, we have to at least look 13 hours a week just to search for lost travelers. So travelers are getting lost, we can't find them. And then once we have those travelers, about 60 hours a week are spent just doing data entry in the back office. Somebody sitting there typing in numbers. And then the average cost of these particular employee. So what I really want you to do, and the whole idea for some of these statistics, is kind of think about, and you don't have to do it today, you don't have to do it in the week, your current process and how long these different pieces are taking you in your current manufacturing process. Is it more or is it less? And how can we reduce it? Well, what are we seeing other companies do to actually reduce this? Well, the first thing is, obviously, we're doing live data collection from the production floor. We're integrating the two different pieces, Sage and your floor, and we're bringing them to one. We're introducing what we would call, and you would call, status updates from the floor. So we're setting up status codes. We're setting up different stations to make sure that when it gets to a particular station, we know the codes that are associated. So if it's in cutting, we know it's in cutting. If it's on hold, we know it's on hold. And then real-time dashboards to not only track, but to approve work tickets. So everybody, I think, can acknowledge that a dashboard with the correct and with good information is a super beneficial tool. And this is what we're seeing companies use. Going back to the live data collection for production, how are we going to accomplish this? Well, we're going to use what we would call a barcode scanner or a fixed POS system. So it could be a Zebra Motorola device, or it could be a stationary device with a wedge scanner to really track and pull goods to our work ticket. So we're going to integrate the two systems. Not only can we do quantities and items, but we can also track lot and serial numbers. So if there's other identifiers for those raw goods going to the work tickets, we can collect that and make sure that all that information is updated. But lastly, we can allow substitutions, and really we can allow different editable fields on the work ticket. So if we're working in a specific warehouse, if we want to substitute this item, we don't have to stop your production flow to do this. It can all happen from the scanner and keep the employees out of Sage. Going back to the status updates, well, how do we accomplish this? Well, first of all, we set up those status updates. We talked about that. But now we need to set up work ticket statuses and track them from the floor. So we're going to utilize scanners to do this. Again, going back to my point before, this is going to cause us to not interrupt the current workflow and to say, hey, this particular product's on hold, here's the quantity, and we're on our way. And again, we're going to highlight some of this in the actual demonstration. And then my favorite part is those dashboards again, and we talked through it. We're going to set up a checks and balances. So we're going to set up a process that we have a dashboard, and it either goes to the dashboard for us to review and approve. So think about a manager sitting in office, it hits your dashboard and you can approve it. Or we are going to use this strictly as a viewing tool. And this viewing tool is going to allow you to see everything that is happening on your floor and what's happening on the guns at real time. This is going to allow us to catch those errors that you'll typically see before they get into Sage, or at least be able to see what is happening in your warehouse based on the filters that we talked about. So these are the things that we are seeing. These are the 3 industry standards that we see time in and time again that every leading industry production facility is actually using. But what I want to do now is I do want to go into what we would do as a live demo. So let's go live. So I'm going to walk you through some of the transactions that we just talked about. And what I have on my left is I have my scanner, and what I have on my right is one of those dashboards that we talked about. And if you look through, you can see there's different filter points that we can do, but I really just want to give you an idea of the transactions and what it's going to look like for the people actually using this. Towards the end, at the end, we're going to leave a slide open. If you have any questions, you want me to jump back into the actual demonstration to show you something, I don't mind, or we can set up some extra time to really dive into this. Now in front of me, just to kind of level this up, I have a work ticket traveler in front of me, some part numbers, employee IDs, typical things that are going to be on your floor already. I'm going to log in based on my profile settings. And I'm going to be asked for what company I'm working out. So first piece here, we are multi-company. If you have many different companies, you'd be able to select it. And then we have the actual interface that we're going to be discussing today. So the first thing I want you to notice is just how fluid and intuitive it is. We made it big buttons, big words. We did this on purpose. We want to make this as easy as possible for the people actually using it. The transactions we're going to discuss today is the material issues over here, as well as the status changes. Those are what we're going to focus on. But as you can see, there's other transactions we can do. If there's labor that we want to track, we can track it by step. Or if we want to complete goods to inventory because we have sales orders staying open, we're not able to update it in time, we can do that as well. If you want to talk material issues or time entry, shoot me an email, shoot SWK an email. We'll set up some time to go over them. Today, I'm going to start in what we would call a material issue. So we're going to issue material to a work ticket by step. Now, the first prompt you're going to get is your employee ID. I'm going to scan my employee ID, and the system's going to validate that that's a correct employee ID. And then we're going to scan our work ticket and our work ticket step. Again, I have a barcode scanner in front of me. I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to pause here because if we wanted to do one of those substitutions like we talked about, we could go to inventory and we could substitute it based on what product we want to use. If we scan the incorrect item here, the system's going to validate and know, hey, that's the wrong item. Or we can do a lookup and see what items we need to actually issue. I'm going to select my board. So in this particular example, I'm making a motherboard. I'm going to grab my board and we're going to stop again because here's a couple pieces I want to note. First, the transaction type. We can issue or we can return. So if you have a piece that's broken and we want to return it back, we would be able to do that here. Here's where I discussed earlier on one of my points. We can change the warehouse if you want. And then the multi-bin side. So this is a particular bin that my items are residing in. Typically in the industry, what we'll see and how this process is maybe you'll have another scanner for the warehouse side, and you'll simply do a bin-to-bin movement within your warehouse to a start or a production bin to basically say, hey, we're ready to go. We're going to default to our starting, and we're going to go ahead and select. Now, it's going to tell us, hey, this is the quantity that's required. How many do we want to issue? For this example, we're going to say we only had 5, and we're going to go through. Now, what you're going to notice is the actual dashboard is going to update based on this transaction. Again, everything we're doing is real time. So on the actual dashboard, you can see what actually happened. I issued 5. Here's the particular transaction in my employee ID. Now we can continue this, or we can go to the next step. So I'm going to continue it just for the example. And scan the wrong item, because I wanted to give you an idea that, again, and I said it earlier, but I like to show it, that if I scan the wrong item, it is going to know. The system's going to be smart enough to know. Let's go ahead and scan the right item. Let's issue it out. And we're on our way. Now from here, we're going to back out here, and we're going to go into our status updates. So as you can see, this is going to update over here as well. And we're going to go to our status updates because we want to be able to see what is happening on a particular work ticket. So I'm going to select my status update. And again, I'm going to select my work ticket and pull one of my status codes that are inside of Sage. So if I wanted to say this is completed, I can update it. I can say something's on hold, but we're going to do completed because I finished there. So we finished 10, done, and we're on our way. Once I come back into Sage, or excuse me, once I come back into my scanner, I can move on to my next step. So what did we do here? So first of all, we issued a product to a particular work ticket in real time. We've captured the information we needed, and we've eliminated some of those hours of data entry. Now, again, the dashboard is a viewing tool, but we're pushing this all into Sage. What else did we do? Well, we're utilizing the dashboard to not only see where the ticket is, what is happening on the ticket, but again, some of those high-level information that we want to be able to capture. And then we're getting visibility on our particular process. So the last piece I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more step. I'm going to scan back in on my employee ID. One thing to note, if you don't want to have employee IDs for this particular step, we can eliminate that if you want to just do it by a user base. I'm going to scan the next work ticket and step. I'm going to scan the correct item. And I'm going to select my start bin. Now, this particular item is lotted. So it's going to ask me, hey, for this raw good, you need to capture a lot. I'm going to capture my lot. Select my 5 units. And at this time, I can review it, or I can create the transaction inside of Sage. Now, because I went through those particular pieces pretty quickly, I do want to just highlight on labor a little bit. So you're getting a little bit of bonus features here. So labor is going to obviously track the particular labor for a step. And again, we have different fields at the top here that are going to highlight this. So we'll grab my labor, we'll scan in, we'll scan the work ticket step. And this is where you would be able to track in. So business process is typically you'll scan in to that particular step, you'll work through it, and then you'll clock out. But what I want to note is on this, when I clock out, you can change the status code. So you could have this as a 2-step process or 1-step process of as soon as I clock out, I can update the status of that work ticket step. I can enter a comment if I needed to, and we'll be on our way. All right. So I went through that relatively quick. I do want to open it up for some questions. We have, I said about a half hour, so we have about 11 minutes from what I said. If you want me to jump into any more of the demo, I don't mind, but I do want to open it up.
Thank you, Seth. We'll now open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please enter them into the questions section of your GoToWebinar. And just a reminder, everyone, we do have a subject matter expert here. This is a great opportunity to have your questions answered in real time. And it does look like we had a couple come in during the webinar, Seth. First being, how long does implementation take?
So implementation is going to be dependent on your schedule, but we typically say for a process like this, it's about 8 to 12 weeks. This is a full implementation as far as we don't just give you the software and run with it. You will have an install coordinator. You will have a team specific to you to really help you along the way. But the going time is about 8 to 12 weeks.
We have another. Can you confirm the solution allows you to return items?
Great question. Yes, it does. So in the material issues, when you go through it, and I can actually show you, we'll scan through, go to my particular work ticket, my item, and these are editable fields. So if I did a quick lookup, you can return that particular item.
Perfect. We've had a few more come in. Can you log into multiple jobs at once?
Yes, you can. So we would be able to select, depending on who you are, would be able to log into multiple jobs. Yes, that was the easy answer.
We have another. How does it split the time if logged into multiple jobs?
That's going to be up to you on the back end process. We can split up have a setting to split up the time, or we can even dilute it if you want to. It's going to be a question that we will have to dive a little bit more into detail. So if you want to get on a call with me, we can do that.
And we have another. We are currently using WASCAN. How is this different from that program?
I'm not too familiar with that particular program. Again, I'm going to suggest we can jump on a quick call together, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, talk about what it does for you currently and talk about how this is different.
And another, can we write reports from the data in this program?
Yes, so we can pull reports from this actual dashboard, as well as we can run it through the import, run those reports through the import, excuse me.
And we have another, what version of Sage does this support?
So 2020.1, the latest version, and we typically follow N-2 with Sage. So I believe 2018, and correct, I could be wrong, so I might want to get you, but I believe 2018 is where the lowest will go.
And I believe that's all the questions we have, so give me 1 minute as I take back screen control.
All right. Good questions. I appreciate everyone kind of jumping in.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Seth, for your informative presentation and for taking the time to be here today. For more information on Scanco, check out our website at swktech.com and select Scanco under the Warehouse Management section in the Products tab. And don't forget to register for Virtual Empower to learn how to extend the value of your Sage ERP on May 4th through 6th. The registration link will be included in the webinar follow-up email. Thank you everyone for attending our webinar. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.